everybody. Welcome to the first ever episode of Cinema Trip Reviews. We got Vern here, got Quentin here. Of course, this is a new show. We've been talking about doing reviews for a while now. And what better movie to start out is the big blockbuster of the year, Godzilla vs. Kong. This is the fourth movie in the Monsterverse now. They're saying this was supposed to be like maybe the last, but I doubt that. You know, it's like single-handedly bringing the cinemas back as of right now.
Yeah.
But it's directed by Adam Wingard. And of course, it's very self-explanatory. Everybody's seen the trailers. Kong versus Godzilla. You get to see the return of Millie Bobby Brown in this one. She doesn't really do too much, unfortunately. And Alexander Skarsgård is in it, and Rebecca Hall. Just pretty much start out the movie. We see Kong chilling, man. Like it starts out, you think you on Skull Island, Hugh Smash Mouth All Star.
It starts the same exact way that Kong Skull Island starts. You know what I mean? The way like it's just the sun shining. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like something about Kong just looking at it is just like, oh, what the? You know what I mean? It's just he knows it's an artificial sun. You know?
Yeah,
and that's cool.
What you find out here is apparently, I think it's Monarch now, they built a whole facility on Skull Island because Skull Island is just like surrounded by a huge storm now. Like it's overtaken the island. So they built like this artificial facility for Kong that he just apparently he knows it's fake. And he just keeps throwing trees and shit through the top of it. He's living in a Truman Show. He's like Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
He's tired of it.
He's tired of it. And I mean, they've even talked about like possibly moving Kong, and they're like, well, you know who's gonna find him? Like he's gonna search for him. He wants to be the alpha male. I thought it was pretty cool how they started out the film. Like instead of waiting a half hour, 40 minutes to see some monsters, like you see Kong right off the bat.
Right. It was really cool opening there. Like especially how he's just kind of like enjoying his day, like just like scratches and stuff. You know what I mean? Like washes his head in the waterfall. And it takes that turn where he throws the big tree through it and kind of zooms out, and it's raining and everything. On the outside, it's a whole different mood. And I think I saw somewhere the actual Monarch outpost number is like 200 and some. So like it shows you how many of these outposts they've had within the last couple years. Yeah, and I just like, man. So it kind of alludes to so much other stuff going on that you don't really see.
Yeah,
and I'm curious. Do we know how many years has passed between this one and King of the Monsters and this one?
I think it's only like 3 years. I think from what I remember.
It's five.
Yeah, it's only a couple years afterwards.
3 to 5.
Five. It's not too long afterwards.
Right. But I don't remember for sure.
Yeah, but we also get the introduction of the little girl that apparently Kong saved. When the storm ravaged Skull Island, she was part of like the natives that live there, and she's the only one that's communicating with Kong, and I thought that was really cool. Like that was one of like the highlights of the movie, other than like the monster fights, is like that relationship that they have.
100%. And you know what's something I thought about that would be really cool to see in the future? You know how I know you guys are like, oh my god, Vernon's talking about the MCU. Listen, you know how the MCU, there's movies that are in the future, there's movies that are in the past. Like, obviously, a lot of franchises do this type of thing, but like, I'm just saying, imagine we see a movie in the future of Kong, but like it twists back to the storm getting too bad and the people on the island perishing and him saving that girl, like seeing that story played out on cinema would be pretty cool. Like what I was thinking is like how Black Widow takes place in between Civil War and Infinity War, apparently. But it's coming out now, like way years out, like doing something like that, going back and kind of telling the old story, like that'd be kind of cool.
From there, then we get to the introduction for Godzilla, and I'm not gonna lie, seeing Godzilla as the bad guy is amazing. Like it goes back to the old Godzilla movies where he's just wrecking shit and he just comes in pissed off and just destroying everything. And I'm like, what is going on here? Like no warden, no nothing. He's just coming in and wrecking shit.
That's kind of why I wanted to go back and rewatch it, because like I know whenever I went into it the first time, I was thinking like, all right, is this Godzilla? Or
or the special surprise monster that they totally kept secret this whole time. That was a surprise to everybody.
Yeah, total surprise. Total surprise. So much of a surprise. My son had surprise toys before the movie came out. Like he's out in the living room playing with the little Mecha Godzilla, and a King Kong like toys. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
But you're right. I wasn't sure if it was like Mecha Godzilla, because I know like I think it's one of the older movies. He actually like has like the appearance of Godzilla, and then it like they as they fight or whatever, he turns into Mecha Godzilla.
Got like the realistic skin going on.
Yeah. So I mean, it was really cool seeing just Godzilla just coming in and wrecking shit on purpose, like not even just to save it. He's just coming and destroying.
It was pretty cool seeing the guy's son, the guy that sacrificed himself with the nuclear weapon last time. His son, kind of just staring at Godzilla, just like mad, like he's got that vendetta with it.
We've only really seen Godzilla use the atomic breath like a couple times throughout the past couple movies, like when he really needs it. Bro, the whole movie, every time you see him, he's using that shit. Like he comes out and starts destroying everything.
This was the championship game, man. Didn't you see the bracket they had in the playoff in the
bro? And
credits and the opening credits?
Like, listen. We'll get into that because like I had a pros and cons list, and that was on my cons list because I was like, come on, this is like it's a little too on the nose for me to have the like defeated and have like the March Madness bracket, and I'm like, come on. Like I was all for like the classified, like you know how they did with all the other movies where it was like the classified documents opening,
and the
I'm
cool
all for
stuff
it.
They had behind it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, stuff you could read.
And towards the end of the credits, you get that bracket or and I'm like, oh, come on. Like, it's a little on the nose.
It was really cool. I know we're kind of off topic here, but, like, in those credits there, when you get to see Godzilla straight, like atomic breath down the Muto's throat there, like, it's just, you see it so close there in that little scene. I thought that was pretty cool.
From there, we get to meet the head of Apex Technologies. And you know, like, obviously the bad guys. Like just by look at him, like, all right, these are the bad guys.
This guy wears his coat. He doesn't even put the sleeves through his arms through the sleeves on the coat. That's how you know he's evil.
It's like some. It reminds me. I don't know if Cruella de Vil ever even did that, but I feel like that's something Cruella de Vil would do.
No,
I did forget one little thing. Whenever Godzilla destroyed that Apex facility, you get to see like a red ball that was floating there, and you're like, oh, and it was
something else.
And it was using like the orca sounds from the last movie to bring Godzilla. Yeah, and the
podcaster with the conspiracy theories, and he's on to something here, and he works for Apex, and like there was a lot of like interesting stories. Like maybe a lot is exaggerated. There wasn't a lot of interesting stories in the background, but there were some interesting stories in the background.
I see, like as you could tell, that is one character like that slipped my mind. Like he is a part of the movie, but he doesn't
right.
Like you get to see like he's a very like he's the Alex Jones of the like Titans.
Where it doesn't affect like anything, but it's more like this, like narrative. He gives more narrative.
Yeah, that's exactly what the humans are there to do, is to like either move these monsters to the locations to fight or just to progress the story.
Like,
but yeah,
they belong.
He has been working for Apex for years now just to infiltrate and find out secrets. And he was at the facility whenever Godzilla attacked, and then he ended up like sneaking through the back rooms, and that's where he saw like that orb that was like pretty much like that's the reason Godzilla was attacking. Like he was called there by this like, orb.
That was like it was like you were saying, it was emitting that sound. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it kind of
like the orca box that they use in the last one to like communicate to like Mothra and Rodan and shit. But yeah, from there, then you get to meet the villain. I've seen him in a couple other movies and stuff before, but he talks to Alexander Skarsgård's character, the scientist, he's a very like outspoken. He's written books about Hollow Earth theory, and like these Titans could be coming from there. And he's like, because I mean, this isn't just in the movie. There's actually people that believe in like the Hollow Earth theory now. So I mean, it's not too far fetched. But then like the evil dude behind Apex says, well, we got these ships now that could travel through these tunnels. And right away, I thought 2014 Godzilla, he was fighting against these tanks and helicopters, and they fire missiles at them. And then the last one, the King of the Monsters, we just got like that spaceship that just tracks the Titans. And now we getting like flying like hover ships that can go through dimensional portals in the
control
Earth.
Gravity and just all this wild shit. That was gravity, it's been 5 years.
Does it like reverses gravity when you're going through the portal or something? But I was like, what is this? Like, this is crazy sci-fi.
I'll play devil's advocate for that. Maybe it's like some side effect of like all the Titan, information coming in. Maybe they got some like weird kaiju technology now from like, I don't know, blood.
We'll get to that in the future in this video here, because they do end up stumbling upon something.
Yeah. But pretty much the evil dude from Apex pretty much says like, that so much about this, like I want to hire you to help like find, because we want to get the resources from Hollow Earth pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
But
we're the good guys.
We're the good guys. But we have a feeling that Titans are like, it's in their DNA to go home, to go where they come from, to like Hollow Earth. So like they have to find a Titan that could lead them there. Entrance Kong.
See him coming in being carried by like 3 helicopters.
Alexander Skarsgård goes talks to Rebecca Hall's character, who I guess they know from their past. They've worked together, and he convinces her like, "Hey, Kong doesn't like it here. You want to move him? This might be the best place to move him, And
take him to Antarctica.
Take him to Antarctica to chase this Hollow Earth theory.
While we're down there, we have these ships. Like
somehow they convinced the U.S. military and Navy to loan them like all these like aircraft carriers. There's like 30 of them.
You're talking. Yeah, shit. I'm sorry. I was getting way ahead of myself there.
Well, yeah, just to transport Kong across the sea.
Mm-hmm.
And then like they purposely went out of like, I think it's Godzilla's like known routes around the world. So they're like, well, we'll just kind of avoid them. But like, nope, that didn't work for very long. Because I mean, of course, everybody saw the moments like in the trailers. You get the big fight between Godzilla and Kong. And I mean, what did you guys think of the fight? I thought it was really cool how they did it.
I thought it was pretty dope. Yeah. It's to a point that you brought up. It's really cool that they did it in like broad daylight. There's no like, no darkness, no rain.
That's what I really liked about
obscuring effects.
Yeah, there's no rain, there's no storms. Like, I mean, we figured mostly that was due to like covering up, like to make the CGI look better. And I think it looked great in these, because I mean, even at the nighttime and towards the end of the movie, like the Tokyo fight, it's still clear. Like even though it's nighttime, it's pretty clear. The neons help. But I really like this fight, man. It was like Kong, he was just struggling to get out. They almost drowned his ass because the boat flipped over and he's still chained to the boat. And they're like, what are we gonna do, man? Like,
I saw this really cool take on it. They were talking about how it's really cool at the one scene, like how they filmed those scenes, not necessarily filmed, but like the perspectives they used during that fight to make it look like more than just big monster fighting big monster. Like it looked like that, but like there was like, it felt like there was flow and cohesiveness to what was going on because of the perspective.
Film them so you know who is the antagonist and protagonist, like antagonist too.
Right, exactly. Right. Like to my point here, like there's a clip where you're almost as you're standing on the aircraft carrier and you see Godzilla crawl up onto the ship, and then and you're like glancing up at him as almost
there was a lot of those. Like I like that too, because you see that a lot in the Tokyo fight, and whenever like Godzilla first rampages through that facility, you see a lot of those like low shots where you're seeing from an actual like person's point of view, like, oh shit, Godzilla's attacking. Like you got to see that too, but I mean, a lot of the shots like of Godzilla specifically, you're like, they're very menacing shots. Like it shows him like out in the distance, like coming in with his spikes up over the water and shit, and then he goes through the boats, and then you had that shot of Kong where he's like, I want to go out, I want to protect the people on this boat, where can I go? And then he like looks, and then he sees like the big empty aircraft carrier, and there's a ship in between, and then it just kind of tracks the shot of him like hopping, like, jumping off of that other ship, which totally didn't kill a bunch of people, onto the other ship. And then they duke it out, man. They have at it. Of course, it leads into the water where, I mean, Kong, he's not a very good swimmer. And Godzilla pretty much starts dragging his ass to the deep depths of the ocean when the humans got to bail Kong out. They bail him out a couple times in this movie. I was a little disappointed about that fact. They saved him a couple times.
They had to. I told you motherfuckers going into this shit Godzilla was going to win.
I agreed, and I was rooting for Godzilla the whole time, but I still think that they probably could have done a better job of like portraying Kong as more of a contender, like with the whole chains and everything. It would have been awesome if he would have just busted him. If he would have just been like, I could have done that at any time.
That's what I thought.
Like he was just, I was along for the ride with you guys.
On some Superman shit, bro. Just like, why'd you let him put it all on you? It makes you feel safer. You know what I mean? Like,
and I mean, that's what I was gonna say as well. Is like, even though I knew I was rooting for Godzilla the whole time, like going into the movie, I felt so goddamn bad for Kong this whole movie, dude. I felt sad almost every scene leading up to the fights, just because like, dude wants to go home, and then they put him on a boat and he's chained there, and then like the night before the fight, it's pouring rain and he's just sitting there in the rain, bro. And I was like, I feel so bad for this gigantic ape. Like he looks so sad sitting there, and the girl goes out.
He's a lot more human than Godzilla is, so that's why it's easier to relate with Kong.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? We're just monkeys.
I felt so bad for him.
I think they almost did too good of a job making him like a sympathetic character in that respect, like you said, like because you do just feel bad for him the whole time because he just kind of gets shit on.
Oh, and it gets even more. It gets even worse. It gets more heartbreaking. But yeah, as they get on the ship and with the fight and everything, you get to find like that, you know, the bad guy of Apex. He puts his daughter there, she does absolutely nothing for the movie, really.
Yeah,
she doesn't serve any purpose, really.
Well, I mean, well, she honestly, herself, she does nothing.
Yeah,
you're right. Like,
she doesn't really do anything.
I was thinking of like the mission, but she's
just there to be just like an antagonist, where she's just
like a bitch.
Just let the monkey go or whatever.
Her character is just to be the bitch daughter of the evil guy.
Yeah, pretty much. But then they're like, well, we gotta find a way to transport Kong again. So they put his ass on a big old net, and they just fly him with these helicopters to Antarctica for wherever they were. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
So getting back to the other part of the story here, Millie Bobby Brown comes back for this one. You see her dad. You see her dad for like maybe 5 minutes this whole movie. She has a fight. She's like, I know Godzilla didn't do anything wrong. I listened to his podcast. He's right, such and such. He's got a lot of truths. He doesn't believe her. So she's like, fuck it. I'm going to go find him. We're going to figure this out. And she hunts him down, you know, it's a little comedic relief. She brings her friend and stuff, who, like, the friend really doesn't do anything either. Like, I feel like it could have just been her and the conspiracy dude, if that.
Did either of you watch Hunt for the Wilder People, by the way? I couldn't remember.
It's the kid from there. And he's in Deadpool 2 also.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Oh, I thought he looked familiar, so that's where I saw him in Deadpool 2.
So, I mean, and then he pretty much, like, they go and break into that Apex facility that was, like, messed up. And that big orb is gone. And it's gone now. So, like, oh, where'd it go? And then they start investigating a little bit more. And then they get trapped into this container that then gets onto an underground monorail that takes them directly to Tokyo within, like, a couple hours. But in the container is, like, they're housing those skull crawlers from Skull Island. So, like, what's all this about? But you don't really get to see too much of that. They just, like, kind of put them on, and then pretty much a reason just to get them to Tokyo, where Mechagodzilla is, and the big baddies.
More or less food and training for Mechagodzilla. Not really food, but more or less just to see what he can do.
Yeah,
you know.
And I know to the average person this may seem like we're skipping a lot, but it's really not, because this is exactly what they do. There's really no other information.
The movie's less than 2 hours long.
Yeah, the movie's less than 2 hours. There's people complain about the human aspect of these movies, and I feel like there's even less in this one than there is.
Was less in King of the Monsters. There was even less in this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
they go to Hong Kong, and then back to Antarctica. Absolutely heartbreaking scene. They put Kong down. He's cold as shit. They couldn't give him a blanket or a big coat for him.
You
They
got a
have
big
this
ass net,
technology.
but you can't get a big ass blanket.
I would
Right.
have loved if they had a big old coat for him. That would have been fucking awesome.
Like, I felt so bad because he's
Like a
sitting there
puffy one.
freezing. He's looking around, and then the girl's like trying to convince him, like, go into the fucking hole over here, like where we want you to go.
Go into the
And then
hole.
he's just like, no, I don't trust any of you. Like, you brought me out here. I don't trust
It's cold as shit.
any of you.
Got
And
my
then,
ass beat by some big old lizard.
yeah, I got asked me by this big lizard. I almost died.
I was drowned because of you
And then you
assholes.
bring me out here on a net and it's cold as hell.
Now you want me to go in this hole.
Where, yeah, right?
For
And
what?
then these motherfuckers have the audacity to tell, like, get the little girl to tell him, oh, your family could be down there. Like, there could be the rest of your family. The
Forgot
one thing
about
Kong
that.
wants more in this world is more of, like, him, more of his
Hold on.
kind.
No shit. Next thing you know, he starts running to the fucking hole, and all the people are like, "Where's he going? Where's he going?" And
Where's he
they gotta
going?
load up on their little
They
fancy
load in
ships.
their
follow
hovercraft spaceships. Kong's, like, swinging off of, like, the cave, like, the shit they have built in there. You get to the crazy sci-fi part here where they, like, rip into the portal to go to the Hollow Earth, a whole nother world. In the middle of the Earth, there's a sun somehow. There's, like, a light source and an actual ecosystem for some reason on both, like when you look up, there's a whole nother, like, world you can go to. Like, it's crazy. I don't understand it, but it was
Weird,
wild.
like, sense to
Inverted,
me,
like,
like, you said,
ceiling.
Where the fuck is the sun at? Like, it
Yeah,
can't.
where's this
is it-
light source coming from? How are all these things surviving here?
Is that the core? Like,
If
I
it
don't
is
get
the
it.
core, you would expect tons of fire and magma everywhere, not
Exactly.
flourishing, like, plants and trees and forests.
Weird birds flying around.
Yeah,
I think it works on a sci-fi level as like a pocket dimension thing, but then
Yeah.
things they do later on completely like contradict that. And that's the thing that kind of that's a big con for me, but we'll get to that later. But
yeah,
if it was like
yeah.
a pocket dimension where it's just like a Pacific Rim type deal where for whatever reason there's these like portals that lead to this Hollow Earth shit, then that
Yeah,
that
they
would
said
be
they were, like,
that would
all over the globe. They showed, like, the hologram of, like, all the entrances they found. And I mean, like, I thought it was going to be kind of connected to, like, King of the Monsters, where they showed, like, Godzilla sleeping, like, in that, like, Atlantis type area under, like, deep down, where
Right.
they actually detonated a nuclear bomb in his face to power him up. You know, the nuclear lizard that you're going to put this gigantic ape against.
Yeah, anyway, like, this movie shouldn't have even been made at the end of the day. Like, come on now.
They blew a nuke up in this dude's face to power him up.
But this big monkey's gonna beat him.
Right.
This three-headed alien dragon from another world could not beat this thing, but this big monkey could.
Right.
Get out of here.
But
He's got thumbs. He's got thumbs.
he's got thumbs. But even though we went through the heartbreaking moment of the Antarctica scene, I felt good because he actually got to be in, like, where he comes from. He's got to go home, like, what he wanted to do. And I mean, he goes in, he finds, like, the statues of his ancestors, I guess they built, and, like, this whole, like, society. It was a really cool scene. And, like, he goes in and he finds the axe made of, like, one of, I guess, Godzilla's ancestors, like, one of his spine, like, fins, I guess.
There's pieces of that.
Yeah, the
shit that
dorsal plate.
glows.
He ends up going in a cool scene, he just sits on the damn throne, bro.
You know what I
I
saw?
like that.
Around the throne is that, like, Godzilla painting or, like, etching
Yeah.
or whatever it is in the ground, and it, like, I was watching a video they were talking about that's kind of like a metaphor for, like, you can't rest for long because there's always this threat that looms, more or less. And I was like, that's cool. Like, so, like, the next time I watch it, I'm gonna keep an eye out for that. Like, there's a Godzilla around the throne, like,
Yeah.
a huge, like, you know, and it's just like the way they interpreted it in the video, they were like, kind of seems like it's always like he's looming in the background, like, don't rest for too long type of thing. Like,
And back to Tokyo, where everything else is going to be taking place now for the rest of the movie. You get to see the podcaster they break into. I mean, they don't even have to break into. They're like monorail like cart arrives, and they kind of break out, and they're going through the big Apex facility, and they come into this gigantic room with an eyeball sitting there and blood all over the walls, and they're like, oh, what's gonna happen here? And a gigantic skull crawler comes out and almost eats them alive. And this is where we get the introduction of the other big bad of the movie, Mechagodzilla, where they bring him up and he absolutely tears this skull crawler up. And I guess they could only run Mechagodzilla on like 40% power at this point because they lack the energy that they need from Hollow Earth, from like the Titan source. And that was part of the reason why he sent his daughter down there, is to get like the formula for that like that energy, I guess. So we also get to see another continuation from the movie. After they see the reveal of Mechagodzilla, they're walking through the Apex facility, and you see the skull of King Ghidorah that old Tywin Lannister, Charles Dance, bought at the end of King of the Monsters in the after credits. They don't really make it known, but I mean, if people that are a fan of like the Godzilla universe, they know that like Ghidorah is he can use telekinesis and he's telepathic and shit. That's how like the heads communicate and stuff too. So I mean that kind of plays into it because they put the dude's son inside of the skull, and they have all these colorful tubes coming out of it, and he's like in a VR headset in there, and that's how they're controlling Mechagodzilla, I guess. I don't know if they have the brain from Ghidorah in Mechagodzilla.
It's about the like DNA.
Yeah,
they use the ancient alien DNA. It's like
to power it.
Some ancient astronomical theorist, ancient alien shit that they're talking about here, but
to power it. But yes, they power up Mechagodzilla to tear up this skull crawler. We get to see that this dude is powering it within the skull of Ghidorah. And by powering Mechagodzilla, that alerts the real Godzilla, who then once again just climbs up out of the ocean and just
senses that raggedy bitch Ghidorah's like brain energy coming out of the city,
like,
and he's just like, okay,
back?
all right.
Oh, you back, huh? Someone else wants to challenge me? Okay. And
I do want to say too, just as an aside, I really like kind of dig the Mechagodzilla like design in this one. I think it really works. Like, I always thought Mechagodzilla looked cheesy as shit. I mean, all of it is cheesy as shit in like the Showa era, like, because that's just kind of how it was made. Like,
yeah,
I get it, like that's what it is. But like, I thought this one was pretty dope.
Yeah,
I thought it was too. They really did a good job with like not only just Mechagodzilla, but like all the designs through like all these movies for all these monsters.
Yeah.
I think the other one that kind of lacks is like the Mutos from like the 2014 Godzilla, but those were like a whole
simple.
New like thing.
Right.
Like, those weren't
they're simple, but I think they look cool, but they're simple. They're
they're
simple.
their own thing. Godzilla, man, he comes up and he wreaks absolute havoc, destroying everything, destroying bridges.
I looked it up. It is Hong Kong where the final.
Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's just wreaking havoc on Hong Kong, which is like a throwback to the old movies in itself.
It looks like at the end is Mount Fuji where they fight.
Okay,
as far as
because I think the base is within Mount Fuji
or
where
some
shit.
Bust out of.
Yeah, he busts out of.
Like whenever he finds Kong, when he does what we're about to talk about, he goes to Hong Kong for that.
Yes, because Godzilla starts wreaking havoc and destroying shit, which is awesome. I love seeing Godzilla as the bad guy in this movie. It's so good, dude. It's so good because he's like,
it is.
He's just has the continuous glow of blue, and his eyes are blue the whole time. And I mean, and you get that cool shot where he like looks up into the sky and it zooms in on his face and it's just like glowing. Is really cool. I guess Kong can tell that Godzilla is up like straight above him, I guess. And he puts the axe into the floor, which like what you said, Vern, with like it shows the outline of blue of Godzilla around like the throne area. And I'm guessing Godzilla senses that because he straight up blasts his nuclear breath straight down.
Right before that happens, the evil daughter bitch of the evil guy, she's like, now, because Kong activated the blue stuff that's all around the throne, which is the Titan DNA, like is in the rocks and stuff.
Yes.
So she deploys this little drone that crawls over to the floor and like drills a tiny little circle out analyzes the sample, sends it straight to her dad, who's working with the Mechagodzilla.
And
that has implications for the future.
And this is an issue I had, whereas like when you're trying to get energy to power your source, I feel like just the formula wouldn't do. You would actually need the source. So I feel like them just sending the formula for this energy somehow powered Godzilla the full way.
They're like, that's it. That's what we've been missing.
That's it. We got it.
Great.
This data.
this data that you just got. That somehow you transcribe this unknown data all of us like in 30 seconds.
Godzilla just right through the earth.
Which I would imagine this would have taken a while, but I mean in the movie it speeds it up. But I feel like this would have taken a minute of just Godzilla just sitting there just breathing straight into the ground. And maybe
it depends on how fast it cuts through like rock and stuff like that, because it goes super far. So
and my thing is like they had to go through that portal before. How does this affect that if he's creating his own hole to the center there? I don't know. It's movie logic. But anyway, he blasts the hole down through, and somehow they both look. Kong looks straight up through this hole, miles and miles and miles. And roars. And Godzilla looks down. Is like, I see you, buddy.
I see you out there.
I see you, buddy.
At the core of the earth, I see you.
So, the bad bitch gets in her plane and she's like, all right, I'm taking off. Peace. Nuh-uh. Godzilla straight up grabs this shit and not only. Oh yeah, Kong. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up. Kong grabs this shit, checks it out, makes sure the little girl isn't inside and his friends.
Right.
It just crushes that shit.
Throws it on the ground.
Dunzo.
Jumps in the hole.
Grabs his damn axe, jumps in the hole. And
round two, motherfucker.
And I don't know how he climbs up through this hole so fast with this ship. They get up into Hong Kong, and this is the big huge fight of the movie. We get to see the big shebang bang.
Probably the best part. It's too short.
Yeah, but I mean, it did something the other movies didn't do, and that was they actually got the hold on the fight. You got to see the whole fight instead of, oh, we have something coming out like up in front of the camera to block like I just remember from King of the Monsters. In King of the Monsters, when they have Godzilla run against Ghidorah and they meet up and they start fighting, then the ship just comes up into the view of the camera and blocks it, and then cuts to like the humans talking. Same way with the 2014, where as soon as they start fighting, it cuts to something else. Where here you get to see the full fight, and I mean, Kong comes out the gate, man. He throws the beat down on Godzilla like straight up first.
Had me worried at a minute. I was like, oh, they've been beating my boy up right now. I might have been wrong about this monkey.
Right. He starts throwing the beat down. He jump kicks him, bro. He ends up like shoving the axe handle down his throat whenever he tries to use his atomic breath.
Right, and it's a little homage to like the
tree.
King Kong versus Godzilla with the tree. Yeah.
He shoves the tree down his throat.
Kong also kind of like Godzilla goes to use his atomic breath again, and he like just grabs his snout like a dog, like he would do with a dog, and he like just holds his mouth shut.
And what's cool about it is you could see like the smoke, like the blue smoke coming out of his mouth as he's holding him.
It's so cool.
Yeah, it was really cool, man. And they're like he's swinging off of buildings and shit. And then like the one cool part is like Godzilla just like using his atomic breath, like cutting buildings in half. And like Kong's just running through like dodging and like swinging off of buildings. Another flaw of movie logic is like he's using that atomic breath to cut through these buildings, but then he clips Kong's shoulder and it just burns him. It just burns. It just like cinches his hair on his shoulder.
Stronger than
he's
the
like,
building, right?
He's like, oh. And he falls in the water and he shoves that axe into Godzilla's like side, which like I didn't think it was actually gonna like penetrate him, but it did. And then like Godzilla like grabs it with his teeth and just whips it into a building, which was cool.
Oh,
yeah. And then you actually get to like more of the fight, just like Kong ends up like hiding from him. He's like up on top of a building.
Well, this point, Godzilla kind of gets like I don't think he gets knocked out or anything like that, but he's just like all disoriented.
Yeah.
And then like he waits for him to wake up, and he's just hiding on a building, and he throws a rock like somewhere else, so like Godzilla looks, and Kong just jumps right on his back.
Straight on his back. I think it was right after he had that big like the moment of the trailer whenever he charges the axe up with his breath, and then he jumps, and then it like the energy explodes. Which I guess he didn't actually like. Because I feel like that axe, if it went through his side, it would have went straight through Godzilla's head, dude. If
it doesn't look like it actually hits Godzilla.
It just looks like it like explodes before it gets there.
Right.
And that's whatever, like he goes and hides, and Godzilla's like disoriented, and then he just like hops on his back and starts beating the shit out of him. But then the tables turn. Whenever like Godzilla like turns it around, he gets Kong on the ground, and man, I think this was one of the coolest moments for me because like this is a part of Godzilla we haven't even seen in these movies yet, where he's running on all fours, dude. And I was like, that is so cool. Where he's like he's crawling like a lizard. And then he's like on top of him, just slicing the shit out of him with his claws. Just gives him the beat down, man.
I think I heard somewhere that like one of the main like things in the redesign they did with like the legendary Monsterverse was like they wanted to kind of invoke a lot of different animals with Godzilla, and one of them's like sort of bear qualities, and that's something you can definitely see in this movie. Like you're saying, like running on all fours and then just kind of fucking going at him, like
mauling the hell out of Kong, man. And then, like, he stomps on him a couple times. He puts his foot on him. And then, it's over.
Yeah.
It's over at that point.
He dislocates Kong's shoulder.
Dislocates Kong's shoulder, man.
Yells at him.
Yeah, he just, like, puts his foot on him and then just, like, I'm the dominant one. I'm the alpha. Like, let this be known.
I'm going to let you know something. I was watching that fight with my girl the other night because I just wanted to show her.
I did, too. I showed her that, too. I was like, look how cool this shit is.
You know what she said to me after that part right there? Whenever he was, like, just looking at him, like, and just, like, she's like, all that to assert dominance, and I'm like, you goddamn right. Like, what do you mean all that? Like, this is Godzilla. It was just so funny because she just like,
and
all of that
as he's screaming in his face,
somebody was gonna die. You know what I mean?
And I mean, as Godzilla's screaming in his face, even though Kong knows he's done for, he's like, I'm not giving up. He screams back at him.
Screams right back.
And then Godzilla's like, okay, I respect it. I respect you. For like, even though you down, you still go put up a fight, and then he's just like, "All right, I respect you. You good, man."
Well, I'll see you later.
Because I mean, even when he removes his foot, Kong's not getting up. That dude's down. He's hurting, dude. Back in the facility because they got this energy. Of course, they lose control of it. I'm guessing Ghidorah gets full control. Maybe is it?
I think it's just the AI. Really? Is it?
I don't know. I don't know if it's
the whole Ghidorah's like, I don't know, like presence or like the ghost of Ghidorah or like his weird psychic energy or something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is like it's the AI plus like I don't know if Ghidorah's controlling it.
I think it's great how like literally like 3 seconds after getting full power, that thing fucking like shits the dude out of the VR seat. Like, you know what I mean? Like
it was a very Samuel L. Jackson moment in like Blue Sea, wherever he's having his villain speech, and then he like turns around, and then like Mechagodzilla just destroys him with the beam right away.
Right.
And if it is Ghidorah running this machine, he busts out of the mountain, and imagine the first thing you see is that motherfucker that killed you. Godzilla.
That's why I think that's it. Why it's implied, because it's like right away what he goes for. He's just like you.
And
he's like,
I am glad that Kong is there, because if he wasn't, I think Mechagodzilla would have killed Godzilla's ass. He was laying it on him like big time.
It just makes a big triangle at the end of the day. It's the fucking cop out that they have for this movie. That's my one con. Is that it's a fucking triangle.
The humans. This is like the third time in the movie they end up saving Kong. But
not even. I mean, like with the whole. We'll get to it, but actually we'll get to this at the end. I'll get when we talk about the cons. We'll get to that.
But yeah, whenever they have to save Kong, so they use that big spaced hover ship that they use to, that could reverse the gravity going through the portal. They use that as like a big ass defibrillator and pretty much kick Kong's heart and gives him all this energy. He hops up and does that, like, you see it in the preview where he slams his shoulder against the building to pop it back in, and then he just like rolls it into place. And man, he just starts like whip womping on Mechagodzilla for a while. He's rejuvenated.
Somehow this giant monkey could beat Mechagodzilla, but Godzilla can't beat Mechagodzilla.
I mean, we even got to see a couple times where they were both like teaming up fighting. It was so cool how they were fighting them. It was kind of cool wherever like Godzilla, like Kong holds up the axe and Godzilla just blasts it with his nuclear breath just to power it up.
For the co-op finisher move.
Yeah, the finisher move.
Avengers Ultimate Alliance move.
Yeah, like
exactly.
Iron Man uses Cap Shield to blast it. And I mean, he uses that axe to pretty much chop up Mechagodzilla, dude.
Right.
He chops him up,
rips his head off.
Rips his head off, man. It was awesome. And then you get them staring each other down, where they're like, "All right, we cool? All right, you cool? Just stay." Godzilla's like, "You just stay off my turf."
And Kong drops the axe almost in like that shield don't belong to you moment. You know what I mean? Like he drops the axe and like just like and then like I saw another thing where they're talking. Done. Right. They said the movie like kind of ends with that silence where he goes into the water with the music playing and then it's silent.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like it's just like he just goes right back to being out of everybody's picture.
And a funny moment I forgot to mention is whenever they did bring Kong back, whenever they used the defibrillator on him, the girl's there that he has the connection with, and she's like, "You gotta help him. Like, he's not the bad guy." And Kong's like, "What do you mean he's not the bad guy?" He's like,
I almost died.
He almost killed me. What do you mean? And she's like, "He's on our side. The other one's the bad guy." And that's like, she convinced him to go help. But yeah, like what you said was supposed to end there with them just like, "All right, we cool, I guess." Like, Kong's like understands, like, "All right, man. You fucked me up. You got the best of me, but I'm still gonna do my thing." But I mean, Godzilla goes off, and instead, I guess this was supposed to be the after credits, but they tacked it on at the end of the movie instead. Whenever Kong is actually back in Hollow Earth, I guess Monarch has facilities in Hollow Earth now. They have them. And I mean, he's just swinging around doing his thing, and he's back in Hollow Earth. He gets his own home now, and Godzilla's just gonna roam the actual the surface of the Earth, I guess.
They're gonna have their own
spots. So I mean, like, I really liked it. I mean, it definitely was the best for the parts that you came to see. You know, it really delivered. What were your like initial thoughts or some pros and cons for you guys?
I mean, obviously all the fight scenes were like dope, like awesome, no complaints there. Like it was all great. Everything that I came to this movie wanting, I got like in spades. I was just thoroughly impressed with all that. I don't know. I felt like the stakes weren't as high in this one as they were in King of the Monsters. Like King of the Monsters was like, oh well, if Ghidorah is like left alive, then everybody's fucked. But in this one, it's like
in that movie, you knew like, if all right, this is for the fate of the world. Right now, where here it was like they're just fighting, just to fight, just to see, to like determine who's the alpha.
Even the humans' Mechagodzilla motive was to kill Godzilla. It wasn't to take over the world. Maybe later, but like their goal was like, if he ever turns on us,
like the name of the company.
Right,
like, They wanted to be the humans wanted to be the alpha. They wanted to be
Godzilla. Like they wanted to have their foot on the chest type of thing. Even it's like having 1,000 nuclear weapons. Even. You know what I mean?
Like, they know that like we can't control Godzilla, and I mean, as you figured out, because like the dude even talked about it, they set it up to have Godzilla like go up there and start demolishing shit. It wasn't like Godzilla chose to go over there. Like in the beginning of the movie to destroy that facility, this was all planned to make Godzilla look like he was like unstable, pretty much.
Like they needed Mechagodzilla.
Yeah, exactly. The reason to have Mechagodzilla. But yeah, I mean, I have a couple of pros and cons here. We already talked about the tournament bracket. That was one of my cons. I did not like the bracket. The Millie Bobby Brown story, I was not a big fan of. I feel like they could have did something different with that. Maybe if you would have even made it the story of just the son of the guy from the previous movies. You could have just had it
flesh
revolve
his
around
story
him,
out a little bit more.
where he was like helping develop this, and then he's like, wait a minute, we shouldn't be developing Mechagodzilla or something. Like, you could have did it like that.
Well, that dude had some hate for Godzilla, so he probably really wanted to make Mechagodzilla.
Yeah, but
it
I'm
would have been
saying
cool
like
to see
maybe it
more
could have
of
started
why
out
he
like that,
hates it.
but then like he had a change of heart whenever he saw like Mechagod what they were actually trying to do or something, you know?
Right. Instead of them trying to guess a password.
Yeah, and then they just dumped the dude's alcohol on the control panel.
Right.
Like, oh shit.
I feel like that. I felt like all that stuff
damn
was
it, we didn't
written
think
like
about that.
while they were filming it. Like, we need to have something fill in here. I feel like Mechagodzilla should have had more of a build up.
Exactly.
In the movie, I feel like they should have introduced that aspect way earlier in the movie to kind of build up.
It was here and gone so fast.
Exactly. That was one of my cons as well. And just kind of the whole realism behind the Godzilla blowing the hole through the earth with his breath, and then having Kong like pop up
just go through it.
My only minor complaint other than that is it's Kong versus Godzilla. Kong was definitely the main character of this movie. I wish we would have kind of got to see more Godzilla as throughout the story goes. But I mean, it was only like an hour and 40 something minutes, hour 50-minute movie. It's a lot to cram in, like to go all these. You went to Antarctica, you went to Hong Kong, you went to the Hollow Earth. It's hard to fit all that in like a 2-hour movie. The pros we talked about a little bit was the fights in the daytime. It was pretty crystal clear. You got to see all that. Kong's relationship with the girl in the movie, how they actually had someone. I hope if they do any more Kong movies, have her in there so they can actually communicate with Kong, because they know they can do sign language now.
Right.
Godzilla is the bad guy. I had in here as well. Like, that was definitely an up for me. I don't know how many times they're going to be able to get away with doing that without doing the same story, kind of, where they want him to be the bad guy.
Someone's antagonized,
someone's framing him in a way, right. I guess. I don't know how many times they can get away with that, because I mean, it just seems like now it's set in stone in the universe that like Godzilla only really appears whenever there's some fucking trouble going on, where he's gotta handle business.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, Mechagodzilla was the last thing on my pros list, man. I think even though there wasn't much build up, he was awesome. What we got to see.
I thought it was cool when he was just like whooping Godzilla's at, like just sliding his face across the
building.
I
was so worried, man. And then he like he did the shit that Godzilla did to the Muto, where he like tried to hold his mouth open and he was gonna breathe like the red.
I'm like, oh, here comes Kong.
Bro, I was like, what?
I only had 2 cons for the whole movie, and like I already told you one. It was the cop out of the triangle, of Godzilla beats Kong. Kong beats Mechagodzilla, Mechagodzilla beats Godzilla. I don't like the Pokemon type thing that's going on here. You know what I mean? Like, it's too easy. It's too easy. You know what I mean? It is
a little too easy.
And then my only other, like I said, I still love the whole movie, but my only other complaint would have been, it's not even a complaint, it's more like, I'm not used to it, is seeing Godzilla move so goddamn fast. You know what I mean? I'm just not used to that. Like, you tell me for all these years you got him moving like this, like through cities and stuff. Just
I mean, even through the past 2 movies,
and now he's just like
somewhat slow,
crawling around, just jumping like.
That is one of my favorite parts, though, is whenever he was like on all fours and he was like
awesome,
weaving through the buildings coming at him. I was like, what is this? Like, that is so
he's
cool.
Like very, very lizard-like.
Yeah. You know? Very lizard-like. And we got to see a fight in the water, too.
Right. But otherwise, pros were like everything else. I thought it was great. I did not agree with you as far as the what's her name? Millie Bobby Brown.
Yeah,
her story wasn't that great.
Really needed. But I mean, Stranger Things is huge still. She's a rising star. She was in the last movie. Throw her in. Get some publicity on the movie. But what were your thoughts on the movie, Quentin?
Oh yeah, no, I liked it altogether. I mean, pretty much a lot of the same points you guys are saying there. I mean, like, the human aspect of the story is always going to be like the weakest part of a big kaiju movie. I think that's probably like one of the things they could work on the most with like the Legendary universe. I think they try to do too much of the kind of quirky, Josh Whedon type like Avengers dialogue, like
Mhm.
a little bit too
Like
much.
shit that doesn't need to
Comic
be there.
reliefs all the
Like-
Comic
time.
reliefs. It doesn't
Even-
take itself too seriously, which is like a good thing, but also it's kind of like, you could do better. Like you're just not
Yeah.
really trying, which is fine because
I agree. So I mean,
we're
if you
not
look
here
at
for
movies
that.
like Pacific Rim, where it had a really good story and it was pretty well written
Oh, yeah.
throughout, it was really well.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
really good.
Well,
I
that-
feel
that-
like if they just
that-
put a little bit more thought into the story, I
I
mean,
feel like even Pacific Rim didn't even like try to take itself too crazy much seriously, but they just wrote actual characters. Like it wasn't just like some one-off like, oh well, we need this person to do this because it drives the plot. Okay,
Yeah.
like we know what the humans do in a kaiju movie. It's whatever. But I mean,
I'm sure it has a lot to do with like the audience here in North America as well.
for sure. Okay.
Because like
Oh, yeah.
you get like I forget what it was. It was like Shin Godzilla, I think it was.
Oh, I love Shin Godzilla.
Where
Oh my god.
most of the movie, it's pretty much the movie is just a regular like Godzilla comes up, starts wrecking shit. But most of the movie is the governments collaborating on like how do we stop this shit. Like that's
Right.
most of the movie. And then in between you get Godzilla destroying shit. But most of the movie is like all these diplomats and politicians are like and military are trying to figure out how to stop it. And
Well,
like it's very like you get grounded kind of.
a big point of that one too, and they even said this like the director producers of that movie, that their whole point of that movie was to show how like the Japanese government just kind of flounders to like deal with big disasters like that. And that's kind of like that was sort of the point of that movie, as in how like the first Godzilla was the whole it's the nuclear war is the point of that one, and Shin Godzilla was like, oh, this is the government failing to handle problems.
Yeah.
Shin Godzilla, Vernon, have you seen that?
I haven't, but my son tells me about it. Like apparently he's seen parts of it on like YouTube, because I don't think he's ever seen it like in full. But he tells me about Shin Godzilla.
But that's besides the point. I really like the movie. One quick question before we leave is, where do you think the Monsterverse will go from here?
I honestly, Vernon, you go. I want you to go.
I think Godzilla would be the next movie, because like you said, this was a very focused Kong movie. And if I kind of alluded to what I think about Kong's future, I think if they're to make another movie, what I would like to see is them go back and show me what happened on Skull Island. Why is he even there in the first place? Because he kind of talked about it, we know why, but like show me the same way like we want to see the old battle in Game of Thrones with Baratheon and
Robert's
we want to see that portrayed. Robert's Rebellion. We want to see that on. We know every detail of it. We want to see it. So I would love to see Kong go in that direction. As far as Godzilla, I have no idea, because like you said, you don't know how you're gonna make him a villain again, with it being like convincing and stuff like that. What monster's coming next? He's already declared he's the king of them all, like type of thing. So who knows, man? That's what I don't know. I'd like to see more Godzilla though, for sure.
What about you, Quinn?
I think they could take it in like one of three directions, and they'll probably end up doing like some mix. But like they could either do like shit's going down in Hollow Earth, like maybe something's weird with the ecosystem there, and like you got a problem down there you got to deal with, and maybe that'd be more of a Kong focus. Or they could do like something coming in from space, because there's a ton of different space monsters that come into play.
That's was going to be one of my suggestions, is because pretty much at the end of King of All Monsters, we got to see pretty much all the Titans bow to Godzilla. So I mean, I feel like the only logical step is like they're gonna start introducing the ones from space now.
Or they could do a mix and sort of do like a little bit of what they did in this one, where it's like a human-made thing, and maybe do like a Biolante type deal where it's like another like weird hybrid kaiju thing that like Monarch's fucking around with, trying to do kaiju stuff.
They built their own like they created their own monster or some shit.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I think the next logical step is probably space monsters for Godzilla. Kong, probably just the Hollow Earth, like what you were saying, an issue with Hollow Earth, or like some kind of like Kong runs into a huge monster in Hollow Earth that we haven't seen yet,
Yeah, something brand new.
Yeah. And then maybe movies down the line, some huge monster in Hollow Earth like that was hibernating comes out, and then Godzilla's got to come down the Hollow Earth and start and help Kong out type shit.
keep it down there.
He's like, what is going on down there? Crazy kids.
This should have been Kong versus Godzilla: Dawn of Justice.
Dawn of Justice with the Martha. Why did you say that name?
Martha.
Mothra. Mothra.
I'm interested to see when and if they bring in Destroya, because they did do the whole oxygen destroyer bomb shit already. So they gave themselves an in there. And if they do Destroya, shit will get crazy.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of hoping for. I mean, they got Space Godzilla they can use too, like the crystals coming out of its back and stuff.
Yeah.
That would be dope.
Google a picture of this thing, because I didn't know what he was. What the hell is this thing?
Destroya's crazy.
This thing, Godzilla has to fight this? Oh my god. Good luck, buddy.
But that's all I have for the movie. Out of a 10, what would you guys give it?
I'd give it an 8.
An 8? Okay.
I would say a solid 7.5, honestly. I was thinking about that earlier today.
Yeah,
but...
I'll probably give it around a 7.5. I'll give it
a solid 8, because it was dope.
It was dope. But yeah, I'll give it a 7. I thought it was pretty good. If you're going in for the monster fights, you definitely won't leave disappointed. It definitely delivers in that aspect. But the next movie that we're going to review, Justice League Snyder Cut, that'll be coming out here. We're going to do a review for that one. So be on the lookout. So till next time, I'm Wyatt, this is Vern, and that's Quentin, and we'll see everybody later.